It's pretty funny when you think about it, right? That Toto is just absolutely just having the time of his life, imagining him and his best buddy Yuji just tackling probably this entire arc together, just the two of them, the bros for life, only for it to just all crash and burn. Like, he was doing really well at that ping pong. Like, they didn't need to go that hard, but they did so. I was like, damn, we could have a ping pong anime here if we wanted to. And just to see him crash and burn when reality sits in that, like, no, they ain't together. It's just, honestly, you can't help but feel a little bad for him in that moment. But damn, that animation went in hard. Like, the last time I can remember such a good animated serve or anything with ping pong was probably Spy Family. Like, just, they didn't need to go that hard, but they did. And this arc, this Shibuya Incident arc, which has been so hyped up by manga readers. I mean, I am anime only, I don't know where we're going, but just the excitement I'm hearing. This was a fun return, but it's that excitement that I'm hearing from other source readers that are just like, man, I am so interested to see, especially given that they end this episode with MECHAMARU just launching a year's worth of blasts in this fool's face, so you know I'm hyped for more. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful return to Jujutsu Kaisen, available on my Patreon, so if you would like to see that full live reaction, it's over there if you're interested. We got quite a bit to talk about. There's kind of like three moments that really caught my eye, which was obviously the Toto moment, like I mentioned. We have the kind of flirtatious romance, kind of like, oh, here's this, like, you know, fat girl who got bullied and no one really looked at her, but then you have Yuji who was like, you know, if I had to pick someone, I would pick her, but I'm not really interested, right? There's some interesting kind of like wholesome slice of life and, you know, slight bits of drama there. And then, of course, you have the biggest moment, which I think most people are going to be talking about, which is the rat situation with MECHAMARU. And honestly, it caught me by surprise, man. And I can't say I blame a fool, because when you are literally hooked up to a bathtub with all these wires and, you know, just that isn't living. That's not life. Like, that's gotta be pain. But what kind of caught me by surprise was seemingly the direction they're trying to go is that, well, ultimately, he was going to do whatever it took to save and repair his body. And he did just that. Like, he did get repaired, and I love how they justify it. Like, basically, they walk in being like, I'm ready to kill you, but first let me heal your body. Usually you might want to roll your eyes at that, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, they have a pact, right? Like, it's who knows what type of catastrophe could occur if they didn't keep up their word. So you have to heal, and then you can try to kill each other. And the interesting thing was how it seems like what he wants to do is get back to Gojo and tell him of everything that's going on here. So pretty much, you know, at first it felt like, oh, he was double crossing someone like Gojo, but it turns out what he's trying to do, at least based on what we're seeing so far, is to double cross Geto as well as Mahito so that ultimately he could repair his body, which honestly, I can't say I blame the guy. And will he be able to get there and reveal information? Probably not, but who the hell knows, right? At the start of him charging up this blast, I think he had like 17 years or something worth of attack that he could do. And his first blast from this giant robotic Gundam suit here is basically a year's worth. And honestly, I felt a little blue balls, not gonna lie. I was a little salty, man, because they were getting me hyped up. I was like, oh my god, this is looking good. I love the inside of the cockpit. Everything about it was just building up. And then they play the credits, and I'm like, you can't do your boy dirty like that. Like, this is one of those times where you kind of wish it was a double episode, like they aired episodes 6 and 7 back to back, because god damn it, I needed to see the finish of that, because it really did get good near the end. And well, I did enjoy the episode overall. Like, you can't deny that MECHAMARU stuff was absolutely the best part of it. And I do like what they did overall visually with this episode, but most importantly, visually what they did with the opening. So the opening, visually wise, probably my favorite out of this anime season. There's the color palette, the red glow to it. I mean, I imagine there's a shit ton of what people would call spoilers, but as an anime only, I don't know what I'm looking at. And usually when people bring up that, oh man, anime onlys are going to get spoiled, like, unless you know context to what's going on, you're not going to know what the hell that opening is. But on a visual level, it was really cool. The hand transition and everything, just absolutely spot on. But the song itself was a vibe, man. Like, you're kind of expecting, at least this is how I was feeling, that over the course I'm like, okay, I'm jamming, I'm vibing, I'm liking this, but I'm waiting for it to get heavy, to just drop. But no, it keeps that kind of weird, almost like supernatural, slight horror vibe to it, and I gotta say it works rather well. The ending song, while good, it didn't do a whole lot for me personally, just for my own musical taste, but I really, really enjoyed the opening song, and I knew they were gonna do something special, right? Like, we knew we had to get a new one, given that, you know, the previous arc, while only 5 episodes, I mean, you can't really keep that opening for the new one, right? And it'll be interesting to see just how my opinions of the opening will evolve over time. But another really good point of this episode had to be our boy Yuji. Now, him talking about his worm movie, the fourth one apparently, like, I will say, to Yuji's credit, they did make visually the movie look interesting with this disgusting, uncircumcised dick of a worm. I mean, just the fact that, like, there's, like, this love story, and then, like, when they come in, you see all the kids, it's just, like, I'm assuming the anime community is just all collectively gonna say, I want to watch that. Me, I'm like, I don't want to watch that. But it was kind of funny seeing how into it he was and how that was just so important as they introduced this girl who basically, you know, she wanted to confess her feelings, but ultimately didn't end up doing it, but she did end up getting the picture. And what I like is sometimes when you have moments like these where, like, you know, an obese character or maybe like what is considered an ugly character suddenly gets hot, so then therefore the main character is suddenly into them, right? And people can criticize it. I can understand where they're coming from. It doesn't really bother me, but I see where they're coming from. Like, oh, it comes across as superficial. But what I appreciate is like the moments where like the two kids in his class were like, oh, you know, who are you into? And he's like, I'm not into anyone. And he's like, well, if I had to pick, I'd pick her. And they're like, well, she's fat. And he's like, okay, whatever. I mean, you asked me, that's who I'd pick. And I like the fact that it shows that there is a genuine, you know, person behind, you know, what Yuji says. And we all know that, of course, but it's nice to have that moment. So as she's had her growth spurt and she lost a lot of weight, you know, it's nice to see that, like, even with her looking so different, he immediately recognized her because he wasn't a superficial person. He knows the person. It's not that, oh, because you're no longer short and chubby, I don't recognize you. Like, of course I'd recognize you. We went to school together. And it's just, it's a nice, wholesome moment with some funny comedy moments, some, you know, some of the comedy you expected from the last arc here. Ridiculous character models, some fun transitions and everything. And it was just nice to, you know, have like, kind of like Wingman and Wingwoman talking about like, you know, what type of girl does he like? Oh yeah, she actually fits it. He likes tall women. He's single, seemingly, based on the poster. It was just really fun in that way. I've been scratching. I mean, I've been a little itchy. I've been like, man, just give me that Jujutsu Kaisen. I felt like a junkie, man, just waiting for my fix. And it's good to be back here. I would say, in a lot of ways, episode 6 is kind of similar to episode 1 of this season, where there's a lot of simplistic, kind of like simple moments, but then it also does have the craziness as seen by the end of the episode, and especially with the whole rat plot line and if MECHAMARU will even be able to get back to Gojo or not is definitely a big if, but if he can, I mean, we now have someone who's no longer hooked up to the bathtub and probably could be a lot more useful and probably not as salty now that he's not probably in that much pain. But overall, it was good. I mean, I'm basing a lot of my hype for this, you know, what's coming up based on, you know, other people telling me how great it is. But to be fair, they got me rather excited in this episode with how they ended it. So, I mean, I think we're in safe hands right now. I think MAP is doing a great job with this team to really pop out what is considered to be some of the best arcs for many fans of the manga. And I think what they did with the first arc and now what they're doing with the Shibuya Incident arc, I mean, we're cooking, they're cooking. Everyone's eating good is what I'm saying. Let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Jujutsu Kaisen to the channel. And like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful episode available on my Patreon. You can also check out my ghetto analysis that I did a couple weeks ago if you want to check that out. You get video shoutouts on Patreon as well, so consider supporting. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.